Well, cheers and welcome to Whiskey Wednesday with the Beer Whisperer, or the Whiskey Whisperer today. If you can hear Aerosmith Mama Ken, of course, I don't own the rights to Mama Ken from Aerosmith. My neck always keeps twisting on me. I get a little frustrated by that. So here's what I got going on here: is I froze about an ounce and a half of water here at the bottom of this Wild Turkey Rest, making myself one great big ass ice cube. I do that because I'm a little picky about ice. I knew this was filtered water. So, and then I put 2 ounces of Wild Turkey 101 to 1 ounce of water, trying to make a classic bourbon and water like my dad used to make. Sort of. Anyway. So I've been revisiting a lot of classic beers lately. So I thought I'd go back and revisit classic whiskeys as well. And I hadn't had the actual Wild Turkey 101 in quite some time. So I thought, well, let's go back and try, because this was a favorite of mine, in my early 20s. And I know bourbon geeks these days don't think a lot of this particular whiskey. But I think for the price point, it isn't bad for what it is. I picked it up for about $21 a bottle. It was 20 and change. On about a $3 rollback at a big box store. That gives you in. But yeah, so I figured, well, I hadn't had it in a while, so let's go back and revisit it. I do have certain recollection of the whiskey that I'm going to keep to myself until I drink it. So the nose is a little boozy, but not necessarily off-putting. I do feel a lot of oak, a little bit of cinnamon on the nose. Actually, like a little allspice too. That's from the oak. That's from the wood, not from the grain bill. Now, this is a bourbon that uses rye as a secondary grain. So it is going to be a spicier bourbon, as opposed to wheated bourbons, which are very trendy at this particular moment. As we speak, anyway. And it may go back to that rye at some point, but right now people like those softer, sweeter bourbons. I got to be honest with you. My recollection of this whiskey is I remember it being very rough around the edges. It was 101 proof. So when I was a kid, or when I say kid, my early 20s, Beam was an 80, well, even younger than that. Beam was an 80 proof whiskey. Daniels was a 90 proof whiskey. This was 101. About 85, I don't know, maybe 83, 84, somewhere along those neck of the woods. I don't remember the exact date, but at some point, Daniels became 86 proof. This Beam remained 80. This remained 101. Now they make an 81 version of this, but they still make the original 101. And now Daniels is 80 and way the hell overpriced. Beam remains at 80. I gotta be honest with you, this isn't harsh at all or rough around the edges. It may not have some of the notes that bourbon snobs want, but for a $21 price point, I don't think this is a bad bourbon at all. In fact, regular Jack Daniel's sells anywhere between 22 to 27 in my neck of the woods. This runs at full price at 23. So for 101 proof bourbon, I would seriously prefer this over Jack Daniel's, my particular taste. No, I'm not saying this is a higher quality bourbon than a Daniel's, and I'm certainly not saying Daniel's is a higher quality bourbon than this. It's just going to depend on the taste. But I've got 2 ounces of this to 1 ounce of water. I really brought all those sugars to the surface. So I get a lot of that oak, as I mentioned. You do get some nice spice notes, both from the rye and from the barrel. The cinnamon, though, a lot of people think the cinnamon that they're getting is from the rye. No, that's from the barrel. It's that spice on the back end that you're getting from the rye. But I do feel a combination of brown sugar and honey sweetness here. Would I drink this neat? I'm going to try some neat, to be honest with you, because I'm curious. But quite frankly, I think this is a bourbon probably best suited for either rocks or the application I've got on right now, which is, well, a great big ice cube, 2 ounces of bourbon, and 1 ounce of water. Because that ounce of water really brings those sugars to the surface. So, but I will do a neat video just for the sake of argument. But to be honest, this bourbon probably isn't best suited for neat drink. But the other side of that is, I don't know that you need to drown this in soda pop either. And I know some people will. But I mean, if you can watch me drink this, I'm not making a face. It's not harsh to drink it anyway. There's nothing wrong with this bourbon. The folks that typically don't like this bourbon are those that are so pretentious. they may like it if they had a blind taste test, but they're not willing to look in front of you and say they like it. Or they're being paid by somebody else to tell you they don't like it. And there are those folks out there that are being paid by other bourbon companies to make a living, so they will say they don't like other bourbons just because they're getting a paycheck from somebody else. You can hear any of the music, of course. I don't own any rights. If you can hear Hollywood from Thin Lizzy, I don't know the damn rights to Hollywood by Thin Lizzy. How about that? Anyway, cheers. Whiskey Wednesday. I hope everybody's having a fine day. I'm doing okay, considering. Oh, mercy. Hollywood, parentheses down here, like I do like this too, man. I'm a fan of this band. They were known more to be heavy than actual heavy metal. But they are, they're heavy for my generation. They wouldn't be considered heavy metal by this generation. Mostly because he's not screaming and the songs actually make fucking sense. Anyway, he's not making fun of anybody. He's not denigrating anybody. There's just so much homophobic components, so much racist components from a lot of what today's heavy metal is. It's just freaking ridiculous. I don't have any part of it. But hard rock and metal from my generation, by golly, it made sense. Anyway, that's my particular opinion on the matter. I had a discussion with somebody earlier this evening about that. They were commenting on one of my posts. Come to find out, we weren't even a friend on that social media site. They were just posting, from the good graces of somebody else. Because I allow friends of friends to post on certain posts. But if you're going to be a dick, don't bother posting. Because I'm going to make you look bad. As I did. Anyway, I digress. So because this is a 101 proof bourbon, it will take to some ice well. It will even take to some water well. But the caveat is that you don't want to get it too much. You don't want to add too much water. You don't want to kill the bourbon. And you don't want to get it too cold either. So again, I do have some large ice cubes, but I didn't have them ready yet, so I basically froze 1.5 ounces of water in this glass. So I had a nice ice cube that I made myself. Then again, I just wanted to get this whiskey cold. I don't want this cube in here to melt completely because then it's going to go too far. Then I will lose all those sugars. but the right amount of cold, the right amount of water will bring out all those sugars, and that's what I like. So, in conclusion, yeah, you know what? For $21, I paid. It was 21, 26, I believe, on sale. Yeah, it was regularly $22.96. Yeah, what the hell? For $23, even if I paid full price for this particular whiskey, I think it's worth that amount of money. It is a nice bourbon, multi-purpose bourbon. You can drink it this way. You can highball it another way. You can put a soda pop in it if you like. You can shoot it if you want, but I'm not going to do that. You can drink it neat if you like. I don't necessarily recommend that. But cold, 2 ounces bourbon to an ounce of water, by golly, I gotta tell you, it's damn near perfection. Yeah, that's brilliant. I got the right amount of sugars. And it's not harsh anyway. I do feel it oaky. I do feel some cinnamon and allspice notes. I feel a lot of the sugars. I feel some honey, some brown sugar. Vanilla. I didn't mention vanilla earlier. Let me pull vanilla out of my ass. Caramel. You're going to feel some caramel notes. Sometimes I forget to say certain things because to me it's second nature that everybody should assume you're going to get vanilla, caramel / toffee from a bourbon. But sometimes okay, you need to mention that. Anyway, if you can hear the song changed, so I need to mention the tune here. If you can hear Deadly Dancer from Legs Diamond, I don't know the rights to Deadly Dancer from Legs Diamond. Legs Diamond was one of those bands that kicked around for a while. They actually hit, I don't know, I won't say big time, but they had albums out before the hair band craze and then after. So I think they got falsely labeled a hair band when they really didn't deserve to be. And in my opinion, looking back at them now, listening to them now at my age, I think their songs are better than they got credit for. I personally love this band, so if you can find Legs Diamond, I recommend them highly. But if you can hear Legs Diamond, I don't own the rights. Anyways, I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor wisdom man. All around good guy. Remember, y'all, life is serious. Whiskey shouldn't be. Take it the fuck easy, will you?